In Quebec, 22 children go missing every day. Most are runaways and they eventually come home, but there are some who never do. Since 1980, 27 kids in this province have been victims of criminal abductions. We've seen their names and faces on the posters, read about them in the papers, and heard their stories on the news. Eventually, the coverage stops, and the headlines disappear. But the parents never forget. Their tragedies are so profound that it's brought them together in a community of grief. And for me as a reporter, the stories of these parents will never stop being compelling. I visited 3 of them to find out how they've been coping for more than 10, 15, and 20 years with a tragedy that is every parent's nightmare.
Moi, mon histoire, là, c'est pas un film, c'est une histoire vraie. C'est pour ça que je dis toujours, Sébastien Métivier, ce n'est pas une légende urbaine, c'est une histoire vraie, et puis je peux vous la raconter. À la sortie du cours de bricolage, qui était à peine à, mon Dieu, je te dirais 500 pieds, là, je suis généreuse quand je dis ça, Sébastien est sorti du sous-sol de cette église-là, et je ne l'ai plus jamais revu.
It's one of the earliest reported cases of a child disappearing in Quebec, one that shook the province to its core. 8-year-old Sébastien went missing the day after Halloween in 1984. As he did every day after school, he went to his art workshop at a nearby church a stone's throw from his home in Hochelaga-Maisonneuve, but he never returned. What made this day in November even more tragic was that Sébastien was one of 3 boys abducted from the same Montreal neighborhood. One had been sexually assaulted and beaten to death. The other was recovered in the St. Lawrence River, but Sébastien's body was never found.
Mais au début, c'était la panique totale, puis c'était, comment je pourrais dire, c'était un cauchemar. J'avais l'impression que j'étais pour me réveiller parce que je me disais, ça se peut pas.
So she went to the store and he had told her, you have to be home for supper before Mom comes home. So she says, okay, I will be here. It's on a Monday, 1999, 12th of April. I haven't seen my daughter.
Her story is one of the most well-known in Quebec and across Canada. In 1999, 10-year-old Jolene had just finished helping her dad with supper, put on her rollerblades, and came to this dépanneur to buy a bag of chips. She was only 6 blocks from her home in Point St. Charles when she mysteriously vanished. Her disappearance ignited a massive search, a $30,000 reward, but turned up no leads. 12 years later, her body was found under a bridge, and police discovered that she had been murdered.
It's hard knowing that your child was buried lightly underneath Champlain Bridge, less than 3 kilometers from home, and she went through all the summers, all the fall, all winters, all springs. She went so many climates without being held or comfort, or so I found it hard because I know deep down in my heart she went through hell before dying.
The deal I had with her is you come at 9. And at 9, she was in the bus to come. And at the exit of the bus, that's where the mysteries was beginning. When the event happened, in my mind, my first thing, I miss times. I didn't have time to give her all the rules she needs to know to be safe,
12 years have passed and Julie's case is still a mystery. In November 1999, she was last seen getting off a bus only steps away from her home in Terrebonne. Hundreds of leads and months of work by private detectives, none of it has turned up any trace of Julie Surprenant.
Normal, some days are harder than the other one because we are not made with cement, you know. We are made with some emotion. We have, we are people, you know, like everybody. But the day where the emotional is down, I have a cassette in my mind. In that cassette, I am laughing with Julie.
The most precious, precious thing, is giving birth to a child. It's a gift. And someone took it upon themselves to take that away from you. I think it's unforgivable and unacceptable and inexplainable. And I think sometimes we want to explain what cannot be explained or understood.
Pina Arcamone is the director of the Missing Children's Network and has worked with families for 18 years. The organization began in 1985, a year after Sébastien's disappearance.
À cette époque-là, si on recule 27 ans en arrière, tu n'avais pas de service, tu n'avais pas de soutien aux familles, tu n'avais rien de ça. Fait que moi, je me battais, je voulais tout le temps que mon fils, son visage passe dans les journaux, à la télé, partout qu'on en parle, que les gens enregistrent son visage.
Back then, Christiane had to lead the search for her boy by herself. Today, the network is there to assist parents by spreading the word using every means possible and provide emotional support for these mothers and fathers every step of the way. They also lead a prevention program to educate kids and families in order to decrease the number of child disappearances, so that no other parent has to relive the last moments they spent with their child.
The day before, Julie was cooking a small pâté, you know, and we were talking together, and we go, okay, we're gonna eat it tonight, you know, tonight. That pâté, I always have it. It's in my freezer. I can touch it. I can throw it out. I can throw it to the garbage. I always keep it. And in my mind, I say, when she's gonna come back, we're gonna eat it. You know.
Hope has no expiry date. The public wants the families to turn the page and move forward. But these families hold on to hope. You've met Dolores. She held on to hope till the morning of May the 4th, 2011. But all hope was gone the minute the detective said, "We have found Jolene." It's a moment that in my life I will never forget.
I believed that she was going to come home, even after 12 years. I had believed that one day she would walk in my house. I never wanted to believe she was dead because we had never found nothing. And even when I was announced that Jolene was dead, I really believed that Jolene was still alive and they were keeping her from me. It was hard. It was hard.
I have a mom, Gwen Temperton. Her daughter Melanie has been missing since 1988. She was 20 years old. So it's 24 years has been a long time. And I remember one day she called me to tell me that she had a beautiful dream about Melanie. Oh, I'm going to cry. And how she didn't wake up. She didn't want to wake up because she held her daughter in her arms and it felt so real. Sorry. So that's the reality too, is, you know, sometimes I think they just want to go to sleep in the hopes that their kids will appear to them. And that's all they have, you know.
When we think of a kidnapping, we imagine a little boy or girl being violently snatched off the playground by a stranger. But in 90% of the cases, the child is taken by someone they know. This adds to the torture for the parents. They will always suspect that a friend, a neighbor, or even a relative was the one who took their child.
J'ai toujours dit ça à la police. Ça se peut pas que mon enfant il a suivi un inconnu. Il a suivi quelqu'un qu'il connaissait, en qui il avait confiance, qui avait une autorité sur lui.
Jolene's best friend's father, who I'm sure of, because a mother's heart don't lie. And he did something to Jolene.
Immediately after Jolene's body was found last year, a suspect was arrested, but he was let go after 24 hours.
Till we don't have no guilty person, or we haven't stopped, I can't get this autopsy report from Jolene. Not knowing what happened to her. Not knowing how many kicks, how many punch, how many slaps.
And that's what you really want to know? You want
I really want to know what happened to Jolene. I really want to know what kind of beast. It took a beast. I don't call that a human being. It's a beast.
Picture yourself on a roller coaster. They go through their ups and downs, their highs and lows, days filled with a lot of hope, especially when there's a sighting that seems very positive, very credible.
In 2006, a prime suspect in Julie's case was on his deathbed when he allegedly confessed to a nurse that he was responsible for killing Julie and dumping her body in the Mille-Îles River. The nurse only came forward last year, and when police divers searched the waters, they still came up dry.
If you jump on everything, you're going to lose your mind. You're going to lose yourself, you know, and you're going to run on each side at the same time. You know, you're going to become crazy. So you have to stay calm on those things.
Les premières années, j'étais fébrile, puis on va le trouver, puis je croyais en quelque chose, tandis que maintenant, j'attends les résultats.
It breaks our mother's heart knowing that we have to put a child down.
Au revoir. Et bon voyage, Adeline.
Closure is a word we don't really use because I don't think for these families the word will ever apply because nothing makes sense.
Non, non, je ne veux pas entendre ce mot-là. Parce que ton devoir, tes obligations exigent, je ne dis pas suggère, je dis exige que tu défendes les droits de cette personne-là qui n'est pas capable de parler puis de s'exprimer. Donc, mon enfant, il a été enlevé, il ne peut pas parler puis il ne peut pas s'exprimer, mais il y a quand même une charte qui dit il a le droit à la vie puis il a le droit au service. Donc, moi, je parle au nom de mon fils. Je ne veux pas jamais entendre le mot fermeture. Je vais virer folle, me faire des marches. Je vais bloquer le pont Jean-Cartier. Ça a l'air, ça marche, ça.
Regarde. Yeah, tu vois.
So you keep it with you
Oh yeah,
all the time.
all the time. Yeah, she's there. We are together, you know. Je l'aime moins, celle-là. Je sais pas pourquoi. C'est qu'elle a une signification que j'aime pas. C'est que là, c'est comme si elle disparaissait tranquillement de la mémoire. OK? Autrement dit, l'image s'efface. Puis ça, c'est ce que je veux pas. Il faut pas que ça tombe dans l'oubli, tu sais? Comme une image qui s'efface tranquillement. C'est la signification que je veux pas. C'est pour ça que je la garde.
And it's parents like Michel Surprenant, Christiane Serrois, and Dolores Soucy that prevent their children's story from vanishing from our memories. By always bringing it back into the spotlight, asking questions, pursuing answers, and fighting for the rights of other victims. That's what keeps these parents close to their children. That's what keeps them alive.
It's the worst tragedy that a parent can go through. But you gotta go forward. Don't neutralize, don't go forward. Because if you don't go forward, you're abandoning your child and yourself. And that's no good health for nobody. 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 Je me sens là, plus pesant que moi.
Si je redescends la côte, ce sera la tête haute. Si je suis au bout de la route de ma vie beaucoup trop courte, je partirai quand la flamme. J'ai en moi cette vieille âme de ceux pour qui la sagesse a remplacé la jeunesse et qui m'a fait garder espoir.